What's up, fight geeks? Welcome to another segment of In Between. No.
You fucked up hard.
In between rounds. Get on.
Part 2.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. What's up, fight geeks? Welcome to another segment of Below the Belt. Fuck!
Are you fucking stupid, man?
What the fuck's our name?
2.5 fighters, goddammit.
Alright. Below the Belt, the real version. Okay.
Fuck you, Brendan.
Okay. What's up, fight geeks? Welcome to another segment of In Between. Oh my god!
You fucking, I'm doing it.
Fuck no, I'm doing it. Give me one more chance. Okay. One more chance.
Hey, wait till the Millz stops laughing.
Oh, you're burned.
2.5 fighters.
Why below the belt?
Yellow leather. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
What's up, fight geeks? Welcome to another segment of 2.5 fighters. Here with your boy Millz, as usual, and Keek, my brother.
What's up?
So, on this episode, we're going to do a little recap of what happened this past weekend on a few fights, boxing world, MMA world, and some news, some about Diaz and some other fights. So, we'll kick things off, I think, with a little recap of UFC Russia, played on Saturday, November 9th, from Moscow. So, what do you guys think of this event?
Go ahead, Millz. You could start with the explanation with you.
Oh man, I was pretty impressed. You know, obviously for us like hardcore fans, we enjoyed it. We were actually looking forward to the card. It was actually pretty impressive. A lot of guys like took our eyes. Obviously, like Zabit, Roberts took our eye in that. There's also if I can't pronounce his name properly, excuse me, Ankaleev. Like there's so many great fights on that card, man. I was pretty stoked. I was excited for the co-main and the main, but man, the card the whole way through, man, I was pretty impressed and kind of surprised with a couple of Russians, man. They couldn't deliver it for their hometown, but hey, man, it's a fight game.
Yeah, to be honest, after having the whole BMF title and everything, it was like a breath of fresh air to have just a regular classic UFC event. Even though maybe there weren't the biggest names, sometimes I enjoy those types of cards better. We get to see some, up-and-comers shine, especially guys like Zabit and Cater, which I think we'll get into the main event. Drew, what did you think of that main event with Zabit and Cater?
I mean, Zabit, special guy. I think it's obvious, his skill set, trains with Mark Henry, his striking is phenomenal. We don't see too many Russian fighters with that kind of stand-up. I mean, we did see some on the card, like Millz pointed out,
Ankaleev, yeah.
KO.
Wow, really
style.
impressive. Yeah.
But Zabit, I mean, you don't know what's coming, whether it's kicks, knees, spinning elbows, and he's got a great ground game too, great takedowns, great takedown defense. To be honest, I wasn't too impressed. I think he showed some weaknesses in his game. He's very hittable. I think Cater in the third round was starting to get some shots off, and I would have loved to see 5 rounds. It's a shame that it was only a 3-round main event because Zabit's camp declined the 5 rounds. And in all fairness, it wasn't supposed to be 5 rounds in the first place. It was actually supposed to be the co-main. So I'm not too mad about that. But no, overall impressive performance from Zabit. He's number 5. You got to think his next opponent's going to be a top 3 contender, maybe the winner of Ortega versus Zombie. I would love to see that fight. Or Yair. You're supposed to fight Yair a few times. Yair pulled out.
Be good.
Yair got cut.
Amazing.
I think that'll be a great matchup. But yeah, overall definitely impressed with Zabit. But I wasn't impressed with the co-main event.
Wait. Before we get into the co-main event, let me just say something from the main event.
Sure.
Just one more thing. So in that main event, I've been analyzing some of the stats from the fight, and I took a look back and looked at some of the other fights that Zabit had. And what's really interesting about his stats, all his stats, striking, his takedown defense, his submission attempts, pretty much everything stays constant throughout the fight. The biggest issue I have with Zabit is in all of his opponents, his past 3, I think, their performance, all their stats increase in the third round, which I find really interesting because if he were to face somebody like Max or Volkanovski, that's a problem because they really turn it up, especially in those later rounds. And yeah, like you said, Zabit kind of just stays constant. He's obviously, you can tell he'll be a force there, but he's not like really, really impressive. In my opinion, a lot of that flashy stuff he does, it's interesting and it is really dynamic, and his striking, you have to say it is pretty advanced, but he doesn't really land a lot of those shots. And I think his opponents too, they end up turning it up later in the rounds, and it's like they're not really afraid of those spinning attacks because they don't really land too much. But yeah, I guess he's just all right for now, in my opinion. I can't see him beating Max or Volkanovski right now, but we'll see maybe in his next fight. What do you think, Millz?
No, I definitely agree with you. That's an amazing thing to bring up, especially for a lot of people, because everyone gets mesmerized about the 360s, the double knee downs, which obviously as a striking fan, you gotta love these taekwondo moves, these karate moves based type of styles, and it's phenomenal. But then you look at like his stats and what he has done in the UFC, and like you said, there's a lot of guys that like with the Cater, with Stevens, if he fights these top guys, these top tier guys, and honestly, it's a damn shame that this fight wasn't 5 rounds.
Yeah,
said
I agree.
no. We definitely would have seen how he is in the 4th and 5th rounds, and it's his creativity that makes us engage. That okay, let's watch Zabit this weekend because this guy throws everything. But then if you're watching his fights with a couple of guys, like he doesn't really look for it. He just shoots a couple of side kicks. He keeps it very basic in his mind. In his mind, that taekwondo thing, that's just very basic. Any taekwondo practitioner, when they're hitting with these different styles of attacks, it's basic. They don't think it's high level stuff because for them they've been doing it since the age of 5. So for him, it's very basic stuff. And if he finds something, he's gonna go for it. But if we see him go against a guy like Holloway, even Ortega, him fighting Ortega or even the Zombie, that's something that's going to take him to some very deep rounds. It's going to take him where we're going to see his heart, and that's what we're going to question. How is his cardio and how is his heart, and how does he go about it when he's tired? Does he go more in the ground game now? What's his plan B when he gets tired with the striking? Because it's super exhausting, so we'd like to see that happen.
And he is honestly something we've learned, I think, with the Kevin Lee and Darren Till comeback from 2 weeks ago. Zabit's only 28, so we don't really know what he has. He's still really young. It's something common these days in MMA to like count guys out even though when they're young. And I'm at fault also. I was counting out Lee and Till, and they both won, so anything could happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I think let's move on to the co-main.
Good idea.
Alexander Volkov takes out Greg Hardy via unanimous decision. It was pretty dominating performance. Nothing too significant in the fight. I think the main takeaway here is Greg Hardy told his corner after the first round, I believe, blocking a high kick that he hurt his wrist, not only his hand, because fighters fight through broken hands, but I think he really hurt his whole arm, and that obviously, neutralizes that whole hand. That's why he was only throwing his left and that big left hook. But honestly, I was more impressed with Greg Hardy's performance than Volkov's win. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I think. I think if you're a guy of that caliber in Volkov, he's finished for Doom. He's a former champion in other organizations. I think he should have put Greg Hardy away and really showed the division, like, hey, this guy doesn't belong in the top 10 in the UFC. And I think Greg Hardy does belong, and I think we'll see him crack that top 10 sooner than later. What do you guys think?
You want me to start, Millz, or you?
Go for it, Chris.
Okay. I tend to agree with you, Drew. I think this is the only thing. I think the UFC, they're really pushing Greg Hardy, and they thought he was going to be like this unbreakable force. He was going to get to a championship level fight, or at least a really high contender really quickly. And I think they might be wrong. Although he does look like he is improving within every fight. Like in his last fight, what's his name against the New Zealand fighter he fought? Starts with an S. I can't remember. Sassoli. Ben Sassoli. That's it. He was landing a beautiful, clean left. In this fight also, he seemed as if, yes, he did improve. He faced much higher competition. The problem is, it still looks like he has a long way to go. I just, personally, I don't see him beating like Ngannou or any of the top other strikers. I just think he has a long way to go. And on the other hand, I don't know, it looked like Volkov was half asleep in there. It looks like he could have done more on Hardy. I know he was just really wanted that win because it would look horrible if he would lose to Greg Hardy, someone with barely any fights. But I don't know, for Volkov, that didn't look too good. He should have been able to do more in there. I was really not impressed at all with Volkov.
Yeah, the thing with Volkov, like we were talking about it, and as a gambler and as somebody who knows the game, you have a guy who fought. It was his 38th fight against a guy who was going for his 6th. So it's like, okay, you know that this guy first he has to win. That will be the biggest underdog, like more than Holly and Ronda, more than Holly and Ronda, 100%.
Sure. Yeah.
So you knew that he was gonna win. Now we're all forgetting, and I come from I'm a dick rider for the NFL. I watch me some NFL every single day. I love that shit. We're forgetting that not only is Greg Hardy now a UFC fighter, this guy was drafted by the Carolina Panthers in the 6th round of the 2010 draft. He's an all-pro. He also played for the Dallas Cowboys. This guy's NFL stats is out of this world. 40 sacks. He was a Pro Bowl selection. 16 pass deflections, interception. He's an athlete. And being an athlete at the top level of the NFL, especially when he was with the Carolina Panthers, their defense, he was a big force in that. Even when he came to Dallas, this guy is a pure athlete. Even the way he moves. And that's what really impressed me. I knew that Volkov was going to win. Now, like you said, Volkov maybe should have knocked him out. You know, I think he could have performed a little bit more. Obviously, there's fear. He's fighting in his hometown. He doesn't want to lose. Doesn't want to get even rocked in any of that means, especially with the Derrick Lewis fight. You know, I think that kind of gives you some reminiscence, some flashbacks of what happened, that anything could happen throughout the fight. But Greg Hardy's movement was super impressive. And this is coming from a D-line from the NFL. So his movement was there. And especially with the hand, with his hand. And what people need to know, there's different breakage. So if you break your hand, you could still go for it. You know what I mean? Your hand's broken. You can still hit with it. It obviously will hurt, but you still move and you can still maneuver with that hand. If your forearm is broken, that just diminishes your arm entirely. You can't throw anything. Your movement's a bit different because you can't raise the hand up to your chin to defend yourself. You going laterally, it's gonna affect you because options of you getting hit will be there continuously. So obviously, I'm more impressed with Greg Hardy's performance than Volkov's. But Greg Hardy, I think, top tier guy, was great thing to do publicity and for his career. But he's got to fight somebody probably maybe top 10 or something. I think that was a big leap. But you know, shout out to Greg Hardy.
Yeah, I think the UFC is going to reward him too for being in. We usually do things like that. So his next fight, we'll be on the lookout for that next fight for Greg Hardy for sure. So, wrapping up the card, I mean, we'll just go through the main card and go over our picks that Millz and I made last week. So, Shamil Jamzatov takes the decision over Faraz Diabru. Ramazan Ameev loses to Anthony Rocco Martin in an upset. Ed Herman beats Khadiz Ibragimov in a fun fight. Danny Roberts knocked out Imadiz in the 2nd round. That was a beautiful KO.
Yeah.
And we just went through the co-main and main, Volkov and Zabit. So, based on last week's pick, Millz finished with a 3-2 record. And the new champ, you're listening to him, Yufu Gazi, goes 4-1, only lost with Calvin Cater. So we'll get you guys next week on the pick for Blackowicz and Stuza. Look out for the podcast coming out this week. So I think enough with MMA, boys. Let's move on to boxing. It was an interesting card this weekend. Curious to see the numbers for this. Probably broke all the records for all the wrong reasons. But the main event was a couple of YouTube stars, Logan Paul and KSI. KSI takes the victory. It was a decision, a bit of controversy. Logan Paul gets deducted 2 points. I personally have never seen that. For dropping KSI in the 5th round, I believe. Kind of clinched him with his left hand, threw an beautiful uppercut, dropped him and rocked him. So he got 1 point taken down for clinching and hitting, and then another point taken down for hitting KSI while he was going down. He ended up losing the fight because of the points. If there was only 1 point, it would have been a draw. If there was no points, Logan Paul would have actually won. So I don't know if you guys even care about what I'm saying, but what do you guys think of? Did you watch, first of all, Logan Paul KSI, and what do you think about all this YouTube stars and the future of celebrity boxing?
Look, the card itself was very interesting because you had Devin Haney on that, which he is it's a champion. That's a real real WBC champ on a co-main. So you kind of like, okay, this card is actually kind of stacked for a boxing fan. Okay, there's a champ going on. There are a couple of great fights on that. And then you watch this fight. Now look, anybody who's gonna get into, especially a pro bout, you give your props. But KSI is the worst boxer I've ever seen in my life. He sucks hard dick. His overhand right was the worst thing I ever saw in my life. It was garbage. It was telegraphed. You saw that from a mile away. Sloppy performance on his part. And the fact that Logan Paul, his stance was alright, his hands was a little low, he never pulled the trigger. The whole fight, he's bobbing, weaving, he's moving, clipped him with an uppercut, he got the knockdown, and then, okay, whatever. At 2 points, bullshit. The ref didn't know his asshole from his ear. It doesn't know anything what's going on in that ring. But just what you saw there, like, if you ever want to come into the fight game, you should watch that fight. You should watch a professional bout of like Mayweather or De La Hoya or Canelo and see the difference of garbage in the dump and real world-class boxing, because that was just pitiful. And the fact that like Logan Paul comes from a great camp too, the way he performed was just, I have no idea why he never pulled the trigger when there was so many options there for him. And KSI, like, you just suck. You won that, but you suck. That's all I could say. If we would ever meet, like, let's go. Put on some gloves. I guarantee I'd probably drop him like 2 minutes in. Like, I think he just...
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was an awful bout. It sucked hard. It just... I can't even talk about this anymore.
I'm going to go off what you just said. I'm gonna start. This is the truth. I don't give a fuck about KSI and Logan Paul. I think this fight deserves to be thrown in the fucking dumpster. This fight to me is everything that's wrong with our full of shit world. That these two fucking bananas are the main event at a boxing event that's gonna get probably quadruple the amount of views that Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz got. That gets me so fucking aggravated that we live in a world where these YouTube morons become main events of fights where there's real legitimate boxers on that co-main with what the other boxers in the fight should do. The others in the card, they should meet them in the back and beat the shit out of them for even being the main event. If I were KSI or Logan Paul, I wouldn't even, just based on just having martial arts experience, I wouldn't even want to take that main event stage. I would say, no disrespect, but I can't even be a main event. I'd rather give my place to somebody who's deserved it more. Especially, I've only seen highlights. I refuse to even watch full events like that. I've only seen highlights, and I agree with Millz 100%. KSI's hands look like garbage. I don't even know how this guy's in a main event. If little kids are looking at this and saying, Daddy, this weekend, let's watch the fight, and that's the main event, it's so embarrassing. That should not be the main event. They should put on the undercard of the MMA, of the UFC we had this weekend. Any one of those fights could be a main event over this stupid fight. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it.
Look, I get. Well, let's just wrap it up. I get what you guys are saying about KSI Logan Paul, but the fans that went Justin Bieber, the celebrities, Rick Ross, designer, Ryan Garcia, pro champ. I mean, people went there. People didn't go there for Devin Haney. People didn't go there for Billy Joe Saunders.
That's crazy.
People went there. People bought the tickets for Logan Paul versus KSI.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to give my respect to both of them because, I mean, at the end of the day, they stepped in the ring and they fought another man. And that takes balls no matter what sport.
Yeah, for sure. That's 100%.
So, and now what you said, Millz, about the killer instinct is 100% right. Like, I know both of you guys. This podcast is called 2.5 Fighters for a reason. I know you guys are two fighters, and I've seen you fight in the streets. Yeah. And I know you both have killer instinct. So for my boy Logan Paul, who I'm actually, after that, I'm a decent fan of both of them now, I'll be honest. After you step in the ring, you always have my respect. But at the end of the day, the man's not a fighter. He's a vlogger. He's a YouTuber. And I don't know if even KSI, they both said after Logan Paul was in his post-fight, I know you guys probably don't watch the post-fight, nope. But Logan Paul said that he doesn't want to hurt him. Kind of reminds me of Rory McDonald. Obviously, we're talking about serious, different levels of competition, but Logan Paul just didn't want to hit him. Probably could have KO'd him, yeah. The opening was there all night. The way you said, KSI throws that overhand, my God, it's like he's swinging a fucking helicopter. It's not, that's not how you throw an overhand, But Logan Paul, they're just not fighters. So,
so then become fucking ballerinas.
It was garbage. It was just
all right.
pitiful.
Yeah, Millz, you want to add something pitiful? All right. So yeah, I say we wrap it up with maybe a bit of news. The biggest news coming out this weekend was Ariel Helwani had a brief conversation with Nate Diaz, telling him, "Hey, are you officially retired?" Because of his tweet saying "fuck a rematch," and Nate said, "Fuck no, I'll fight tonight." We know how Nate is. He always does this thing. Thanks for the money, bitches. I'm out. This and that. But you know these guys are just waiting for the right opportunity. So I ask you, what did you think about the news, Nate Diaz? Do you think he's retired? And if he's not retired, who do you want to see him fight next? Millz, why don't you start that?
I don't think he retired. I don't. It's like you guys said, like with the Conor. I think every fighter after kind of like a loss, a draw, or any bad performance, your emotions get to you for a good week. It's the same thing when you win. You're on a high, and when you lose, you're on a low. And it takes a while for you to come back from that. I know when I lost one of my fights, it was like a week or 2 weeks that you kind of you don't know where you are. You want to fight. Your mind kind of wanders from every single path available in front of you. You're kind of trying to find yourself again. And then when you do, like, okay, that was a loss. Now let's get back to business. So I think Nate is not retired. I think he's very realistic to the fact that the rematch won't happen. I think Dana's not going to let that fight happen. I think Masvidal is going to fight the winner of Usman and Colby. For Nate, man, it's very simple. Conor needs a guy to come back January 14th. Make that fight happen. That's the fight. Let's see the trilogy. It's a fight that they both know each other. Nate's going to train appropriately for that fight. Conor's going to train correct for that fight. It definitely makes sense. It's a fight that we've been wanting to see for years. The second fight, it could have went either way. So I don't think he retired, and I think he should fight Conor next.
I think excellent fights, Millz. I think Nate should fight Conor, especially that Conor's looking for an opponent. And I think Nate's a pretty good comeback fight, especially that it's years in the making for this trilogy. Look, I agree. I think fighters, you're right, it's a constant thing we see after a couple loss, or even when they have more than one loss in a row. They tend to say they're retiring and then they come back. They do this in boxing too. It's pretty normal. However, the only difference is Nate Diaz, he seems to do this after every fight. Recently, he takes like layoffs, and it's just getting a little tired. I love Nate Diaz. I'm going to start off by saying that. So it's just the truth. It's getting a little annoying after a while to constantly take layoffs, and it's kind of like hurting the fans also because he knows how popular he is too. Like, he just came back. The UFC pretty much made a belt surrounding him versus Jorge. It's a pretty good comeback fight he had with Pettis also. I just think he should give us another one quickly and not take like another 1 or 2 year hiatus. And because after a while, I think the fans too will get a little upset if he takes so long to come back. I just think that Conor fight would be perfect. In both their careers where they are right now, that's an excellent fight to come back to. I just think Conor wanted that fight in January 18. Nate just fought. Is Nate going to be good to go, you think, for January? I don't know. What do you guys think?
So.
That cut's pretty big.
Like performance-wise, probably Nate could fight tonight, but it's that cut.
Yeah,
both
for sure.
Diaz has.
If he'll get cleared, right?
Yeah. It's all about how he heals up with their scar tissue, especially Diaz brothers. We know how easily they could get cut. So it depends on that. Even though that he had the same cut with Showtime, they didn't stop it. They stopped it here.
Exact same,
Like anything can happen.
Yeah, all I can say is I don't want right now a Nate versus Jorge rematch. I'm not interested in that at all. That's the only thing I don't want now. But anything else would be good. You, Drew, what do you think?
I don't want to see him retire. I love, like you, and I'm sure like Millz, and I'm sure like everybody listening, I love Nate Diaz. I was rooting for Jorge, but I love Nate Diaz.
I have to respect.
Probably until he retires, you have to respect him. He's always down to fight. He's always down to bring the fight. It's a tough fight for anybody if he's motivated. Definitely want to see him fight. I love the Conor fight. I'll always love. They could fight 100 times. I'll always watch it. I'll always pay for it. It's a great rivalry, probably one of the best in the UFC and in all of fighting, to be honest. So, Nate, don't retire. Come back. Give us a fight soon. Heal up that cut, and I want to see him back in there against anybody. He's gonna get paid, Nate, because he's a big star right now, and just give him who he wants, and let's see it. Let's make it happen.
All right.
Millz, you want to add anything else?
No, man, I think pretty much it, man. I love Nate. Hopefully you fight Connor. Let's see what happens.
Great. So this week we're going to be releasing our Blackowicz Souza preview and breakdown with our picks and betting on.
So also
speaking with
the Iceman John Eves, we're going to be talking with the legendary kickboxing world champion, multiple time champion on the show. That'd be awesome too.
Can't wait.
Great. Can't wait for that.
Got a lot of things outdoors, man. Got a lot of things going on in the show. I'm excited.
I'm always excited, man. Hard dick all day.
I would definitely like and subscribe. I would definitely like and subscribe for the show. It's a great show. I have no problem.
Like and subscribe, you motherfuckers.
Love it.
Go on YouTube, 2.5 Fighters, our YouTube page, Spotify. Find us on Apple Music.
Yeah,
and check out our Facebook and Instagram, 2.5 Fighters. Give us a like and a thumbs up and subscribe, motherfuckers. We'll find you.
We'll try. We'll definitely try to find you.
I won't find you. These two guys will find you. I won't find you. Listen. I'll find you and send these two guys to you.
Well, it's been a great recap. Like we said, we got picks coming up for this week. We got John Eves coming up on the show. We got more guests coming. We got more stuff to talk about, and like we said, man, like and subscribe, and we're gonna do our thing. You keep listening, and we'll keep giving you the goods.
Yeah, we'll keep pumping it out.